It's been a long time coming, but this video is finally gonna be made. Hello, my name is Multi-Man. Some of you know me as CJ, and some of you know me as Cyril. And today we're making a video about Cyril from Fire Emblem Three Houses. Now you may be saying, are you serious? Are you making, out of every character you could make a video on, you're gonna make it about Cyril from Fire Emblem Three Houses? The kid who just talks about Lady Rhea all the time? The kid who seems obnoxious to talk to because every time somebody tries to make a conversation with him, he kind of brushes them off and acts annoyed? Well, it's more than just that, and that's what this video is all about. This whole video that I've been thinking about doing and that I wanted to act on doing since I believe the beginning of this year, of 2021, has been storing around in my mind, and I finally am bringing it into fruition. This character, honestly, is the character in any video game, honestly, that spoke to me so much that I need, at least for me, to defend a character that gets wrongfully attacked and disliked for apparently no reason other than it's just popular or the thing to do, I suppose. So, this video is basically gonna just talk about, like, points about Cyril, and I'm not going to try to convince you to 100% like the character after this video, but I want to give better perspective, because it seems like, at least when it comes to people who've ever talked about this character, they only seem to have one perception. Wow, can you believe that this kid is a simp for Rhea? Huh, can you believe that all he does is work for Rhea and only talks about Rhea? Oh, can you believe this dude only talks about and simps Rhea? Probably wants to be a stool for her or something, lol. Anyways, those little things aside, no, Cyril is not a one-dimensional character, far from it. If you feel that way, there are other characters that could also be lumped into that same category. I mean, I almost felt the same about Leone, but also that was also because I felt attacked as somebody who likes Cyril, saying that, oh, he's only one-dimensional, and I'm like, but Leone's almost the exact same way, but nobody gives her flack. But now I've reconsidered that because I'm a mature adult, and also I can reason with myself and be like, yeah, because my character that I find the most endearing and charming and a lot like me gets attacked, it doesn't mean I have to defend myself by attacking another character who, for all intents and purposes, Leone's really great too. And it only took me about, a couple of playthroughs of the Golden Deer to realize, yeah, my judgment was misplaced and only just trying to defend a character that also gets ragged on the exact same way. Alright, so here's a little background story that we're going to start with this video. In the land of Fodlan, there is a place called Fodlan Throat, a place connecting to Elmira, a territory eastward of Fodlan. Cyril was an adopted child, or an orphan child, I guess would be more appropriate, because he lost his parents at a very young age. Too young to really remember, I would assume. But ever since then, he kind of got taken into a band of Elmirans, who basically used him as, I wouldn't say child labor, but he definitely was kind of pushed and pulled around to be able to live with them, basically, for them taking him in. Again, a lot of the things that was described from stuff that happens in supports in Fire Emblem would describe his time being there as kind of rough, restless. He wouldn't eat very often, so he would be starving most of the times, and it would be very rough for him, but he still pursued his duties doing there, because the worst outcome is to be left on his own to fend off of everybody else who lives in Elmira. Because Elmira is a place that definitely has the mentality of those who have power will dominate over those who don't have power, and if you cannot defend over yourself, nobody will be there to lend you a hand. You'll have to fend for yourself, or be taken advantage of. After a battle that the Elmirans have, and they seem to have lost, Rhea and some of the church members find some of the orphan children that were settled in Elmira, and they decided to take them back to Garrick Mach. At this point, Cyril started living a somewhat normal life, at least. He starts having meals every day. He starts being able to work harder and be around other people. Though, of course, because of being an Elmiran, easy for people to judge somebody from outside of Foldland, because differences in at least Fire Emblem Three Houses is treated exactly how it would be still in real life, where it's easy not to try to get a perception of somebody, but when you just don't know people or where they come from, or you only have one experience with them, it kind of just lingers on in that sense. So Cyril, being the kid and the teenager he then became while living at the monastery and living under Rhea in the church, he decided to take it upon himself to help around where he could, because again, one of his strengths is that he's able to work super hard and diligently, and probably without even barely any rest. Basically, it seems like most of his time spending around at the monastery, he just ends up helping a lot of people or doing a lot more things than probably most people would assume that a regular school kid would probably do. If it comes down to it, he would clean the horse stables, he cleans the library, he cleans the chapel where the people pray. There's probably plenty of other things he also does, like also take care of the wyverns as well. And just all around is a deliverer and also a supplier of a lot of the wood and logs and stuff getting chopped down, brought back to the monastery for heat. Needless to say, in a run of a day, he probably does just as much as any other member of the Church of Seiros, or just the student faculty. Now, as we got this background settled, some of the stuff I wanted to talk about about the Rhea thing, because everybody seems to make his character only seem to be interested in around Rhea. But after we show some of these supports off, or talk about some of these supports that he has with characters, it shows that he's definitely more mature than a lot of some of the other students, and also he learns to know what he wants himself rather than just only focusing on Rhea. Because I think the common misconception is that that's the only thing he has to work towards. But if you see any of his supports, which you can see either on YouTube or in this video, you can get a greater understanding and a greater appreciation for what he tries to strive for. So with the Byleth's, conversations that he has for supports, again, a lot of the stuff that I just brought up where he was talking about being taken in by Rhea and the fact that he was struggling a lot when he was living in Elmira underneath the other camp that he was with, was pretty rough. And for all intents and purposes, he's super happy to be where he is now at the monastery, being able to eat every day and be able to do what he would like, whether it's just helping around the monastery or just trying to serve Lady Rhea because that's what he wishes to do. And he finds that to be like the best life that he could possibly have, because his life before was pretty miserable. I don't know. It's very funny when people just say that he's just doing it to be brainwashed into Seiros, or the faith of Seiros, when in the Byleth's conversation, literally I think it's like the first or second one, he literally talks about the fact that, oh yeah, I'm not really a part of the church, but Rhea says it's okay that I'm not. Literally in one of the supports, he talks about the fact that I don't have the faith that everybody else likes, but it's not going to mean that I'm not going to help out around these parts of the monastery, because if she cherishes that, I mean, I can respect that, and I will love to help with all these sorts of things, because honestly, you still respect the fact that even though I don't have the faith, beliefs, or faith of Seiros, you still accept me as a human being. Which, again, he was struggling to just be accepted back while he was living in Elmira. Something that's also echoed with Ignat's support, where he talks a lot when Ignat tries to strike up a conversation about Elmira, and same with Petra. He kind of nonchalantly says, I don't really have much motivation or good memories about that place. So it's not really what I would consider my home, because right now, I'm being surrounded by Rhea and everybody else is basically more of a home than I ever had back in Elmira. Which, again, it's pretty easy to say that, oh, well, blah, 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 what about his parents, blah, 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 wouldn't he miss his homeland? But if all your memories of somewheres is just pain and misery, and I think we can all relate in this in our lives, that certain people in our lives that really brought us a lot of heartache or trauma, we even if they are blood related or not. You can't say that you find fondness in that comfort anymore because of something that would make you feel less than yourself. But speaking of which, a lot of people say that he's kind of being brainwashed by the faith of Seiros. But also, if we learn anything from the convo from Seth, from Cyril's conversations that he can have with the different characters, his support with him is all basically telling Cyril, you know, you don't have to just live for somebody. It's honorable to do so, but you can also live for yourself, and they'll be happy as long as you're not actively hurting anybody. As long as you're actively not attacking the church or doing something to hurt the people that you've been helping all this time, I think it's reasonable for you to go and explore yourself and find yourself, because Seth echoes this, that it's very much a thing of don't squander your potential just because you're afraid to expand yourself and do more. Because yes, you can love somebody and care about somebody immensely, but it also doesn't mean that they wouldn't want you to feel the same love and compassion that you're still showing them by working so hard. And with Petra and Shamir, it actually shows another side of Cyril that we don't really get to see very often with some of the other supports. But basically, with Petra's support at least, she talks about Amara with him like we stated with Ignat's one. But also it takes it at a different tone of him understanding from her perspective that she has a great deal of respect and wanting to go and be stronger for the people of her, you know, village, because that's, for her, is what's important to her, and that's why she's trying to get stronger. Cyril saying that they weren't much alike because of this fact, but in actuality, they're kind of alike because they both have a goal that they wish to thrive for. Even if it's not for his homeland, it's for somebody else that he cares about. And later in that support, he even admits to Petra that he would love to take care of her even at an old age, showing that also, yes, he is interested in other people other than just Rhea. That goes with the same support of Shamir. He wants to get better so he can become a proficient knight, because he feels like he can do a lot more, and he can. So he takes up the bow, and then he learns how to do hunting, because probably using a bow would not only help with hunting for food, but also be able to be a good skill to help out with fights and being a warrior. Nonetheless, though, at the end of that support, he's very sad because Shamir tells him that he's a different type of archer and that he should find a different teacher that can help strengthen him as a harrier, which basically is a archer that kind of goes from place to place and laying on a bunch of pressure, and it reflects in his gameplay because his speed stat is very, very high. But something that people don't really take from that one is that he really likes Shamir a lot, to the point where he almost breaks down in a fit of tears because he's been told by somebody he really cares about now, by working and being with them for such a long time, that he doesn't want anybody else but you to be his teacher, because he found a fondness in somebody that he never would have otherwise. Shamir, being taken aback, she was both surprised and happy, and and thanks him, because I mean, for Shamir too, she only had quite a handful of partners alongside Catherine, but she felt the really nice and grateful gratitude for somebody who, again, he had a hard time getting used to handling a bow, and she wasn't sure if he had what it take to wield a bow, but she was pleasantly surprised in the fact that he would still, you know, keep up with his training, and also, even when it's all said and done and he could potentially be a better archer by learning the different skills, he rather just stay beside somebody that he cares about, because they actually allowed him to grow as a person. Other people who helped him grow as a person, which you might not see because you might not get him on any different routes, because if you only play Golden Wind, I think he comes as a unit just in that in general, I believe, but you can also get him in the Azure Moon as well. And one of the things I love about the Azure Moon is his supports with Mercedes and Ash, because with Mercedes at least, it was trying to give him the comfort of reassurance that a lot of people at Garrick Mach don't have to will make him feel at home, because in the convo he actually talks about, oh, you don't think people like me? Do you want me to tell you what just happened before I even got into the library? And I'm like, yeah, that's basically what happens with prejudice, is literally people will hate or be rude to him for no apparent reason, even though all he's trying to do is do his job and do good work and help people. And around Mercedes, at least, he feels like he has a actual family. Like, if he had family, like a sister or something, he would be like, that's how I feels being around you. It's nice and comforting, and I don't feel as alone as I would otherwise. And with Ash, he teaches him all about the values of friendship and what it means to be friends, and allowing himself to be able to reach out. Even if people may not like him, there are people in the world that's going to like and accept him for who he is. And that's really important for his character, considering that he was stuck in a bubble by himself, because just like the Do, and just like Shamir, people who are native from Fodland and who are from the other parts of the Fodland country usually get ostracized because of things that are out of their control. But they still work hard and they still maintain their badassery, all things considering. I mean, one thing he also learned, and that was from Hilda, is that there are people in this world who may see prejudice a lot, but at the end of the day, all he wants to do and strive for is to do what he can for Rhea and everybody at the church who allowed him to have this different lifestyle, this one that makes him happy and feels more fulfilled than he did ever in Elmira. And by being with actually Hilda, he actually learns to accept, you know, man, maybe it's not that bad over here, and maybe one day I might be accepted by everybody, because the more that I've grown attached to Hilda, even though it was a little bit rough starting out, acting like everybody of Elmira was a certain way, even though you should only judge people on, you know, their own individual way of life and what makes a man, which is the actions that they do to portray that they are being decent people. And that whole support is very beautiful, and just the fact that it's like, yeah, you wouldn't think that it would end out very nicely for Cyril, and maybe Hilda would have never changed her mind. But because of her brother saying that no matter what type of person they are, as long as they are showing chivalry and conduct, and good conduct, then they are a good man, no matter what race. So it was a very powerful message, just in that one support alone. Not to mention, like, some of the other ones that aren't as impactful to his character, but also shows the other sides of Cyril, where he's not just a kid. Such as Manuela, where he's taking the most adult approach possible and trying to help out this teacher who just seems to just be down on her luck with relationships, but he's trying to give actual helpful advice, but she just ignores it. And literally was like, I will help you when your heart is shattered. Don't worry, sir, I'll be there for you. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna go back to work now. And with Claude, it's a lot of him not realizing he's Elmiran, but he assumes that people, you know, who are of higher standing just look down on him, because everybody would look down on him because he's from Elmira anyways. So he actually got a bonding relationship with Claude, and actually learning from Claude that he wants to change the world and help people just like Rhea did. And I mean, for Claude and Cyril, they both had a moment where they're like, yeah, maybe my outreach in life is a little bit too underwhelming, so maybe I should just try to help everybody try to connect with each other, because honestly, there's so many people in this world who honestly should connect with each other, just haven't gotten the chance because we've been putting up barriers for so long. I do think one of the major things about him having a fondness of Rhea anyways is the same reason why Rhea still has a undying want or desire to see her mother again, because family is a very important tie. For Cyril, finding family was in Lady Rhea. I mean, honestly, if Catherine is the sword of Seiros, Cyril is definitely the shield of Seiros, knowing that he would do anything in his power to make sure that nothing would happen to her, and that the stuff that she believes in will still stay intact even after anything bad would happen. You can see that if you play the Crimson Flower route, and literally as Garrick Mock's getting attacked, Cyril's still on the front line fighting. It's like he's gonna try his best until the very end. There was one Let's Play of the game I saw where Cyril kind of dunked on the Black Knight, or the Dark Knight, I forget which one it's called, but I would just laugh because I'm like, that's my boy, critting everybody who dares try to ruin the home that he has now. Honestly, Cyril is a very nice character, and hardworking and enthusiastic about doing work for the people he cares about. I mean, one of the things that they talk about is that, at least with the buy list, is that it's admirable to live for other people, but you do need to still take care of yourself. Because, again, one of the things that Cyril just ends up wanting to do is just stay and work and be there forever so he can still live a happy life, because this is where his happiness has been found. It's not that the Church of Seiros is trying to conform him to become a member of the church. Because, again, like we discussed earlier, that wasn't never the case with at least Rhea. Rhea doesn't mind anybody, and Cyril doesn't mind being there because they're just accepting for the most part and allow him to be in a happier place than he ever could have been back over home. At least with the Ignatz support, they also do tease the fact that maybe he should create some new memories in Elmira and go and visit there with Ignatz. So, honestly, I really wish I would ever find out if he did go and do that, because honestly, that seems like it would make such a wonderful memory for him instead of having the bad memories that he only had before. And yes, maybe his abilities as a unit isn't as strong as some of the other characters, or as that's broken. I mean, I appreciate a character who gets better aptitudes and skills and better thing growth over time, because honestly, once you, just like a flower, once it grows and it starts spreading, it starts blooming everywhere. So it's like, wow, because I nurtured this person who, for all intents and purposes, is a young child who honestly doesn't have any talents or like past knowledge of like being able to do a lot of things. Like, he learned how to read and write from Lysithea, which is another important person in his life. Then Shamir taught him how to use a bow and learn some other weapons so he could help defend the place that he cares about. He was willing to do all of these things. And one of the things that also I really appreciate about Lysithea's one is because even then, even when he was struggling to do a task of read off a list, he wanted to still help, genuinely, because he felt like he doesn't want to feel like a burden for not being able to help or contribute. But with the help of Lysithea and a really cute support conversation that led up to her being really happy, or bappy, and him being bappy, he actually learned how to read and write and apply himself to be able to learn. Now, I don't know why people keep saying that Lady Rhea is a pretty bad person for not teaching him how to read and write, because in that same line of supports, okay, are you listening? Because this is for these people who keep saying that she's bad for not teaching how to read and write. He kept it a secret. He kept it a secret because he felt like people wouldn't ask for his help because he didn't know how to read and write. And it didn't help that people in Elmira definitely didn't help with education and only made him do physical labor. I mean, most of the reason why he does the things he does anyways is because the only way he knows how to give back at that point in the Fire Emblem Three Houses lore is literally that he knows how to do a lot of physical stuff and taming and helping animals and stuff, because again, back in Elmira, that's why he was bossed around to do, just to be able to make a little bit of ends meet so he could actually eat. So of course the thing he would be very strong and adept at is like hands-on learning rather than visual learning. So that's just me. But thank you, my lovely childs of the internet, and everybody else who listened to this video, watched along with this, because honestly, again, Cyril is a wonderful character. There's different aspects that you can just take from him, and I think he's a very admirable person in general just because of how hard he works, how dedicated he is to the people he works with and works for, but also that he still has a lot of compassion and willingness to change as a person, to better himself, and to be able to protect the things that he cares about. Yes, he may say and talk about Rhea a lot, because it's the person in his life that gave him hope when he didn't feel like he had much hope or anything to look forward to in life. But that's because gratitude comes in many different shapes and forms. And for Cyril Von Worrell, he's not just some kid, because he'll handle any situation you throw at him. Thank you again for listening, and I hope you chows have a lovely one. So ciao ciao, until next time. Alright, this is basically the end of the video, but before we end off, I do want to thank the artists who I commissioned for both of these pieces. Believe me, I did not draw them because I have no skill or talent when it comes to drawing on stuff like keyboard or mouse, let alone a trackpad that I have for my laptop. So I'd like to thank Oni Kagura because they are the reason why we got these lovely photos in this video, and so I wanted to give them a shout out. Their link to their actual Twitter page where they do commissions is going to be in the link in the description. I just wanted to make a special highlight and note of that at the end, just to show my appreciation for all the work that they've done for me over these past couple of months so I could get this video together, because I've been astonished by the work that they've been doing, and I've been following them for, I would like to say, almost like 2 years now. So I'm so glad that everything came out together, and yeah, my lovely child of the internet, if you could show them any support in any way, I would just love it if you would go and follow them, or even ask for a commission from them, because they do beautiful work. If you want, you can also see that their page, and they do have a not safe for work, or not suitable for all good children section. So, if you're interested in any of that, please check them out in the link in the description below. And thank you all again for listening to the video. I have been Multi126789, and I will catch you lovely chows next time. So, ciao ciao, until then.